doing at your restaurant after the quarantine, the lockdown, the shenanigan, and hopefully soon. Have you thought about it? Do you have a game plan for it? And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I do not have necessarily our game plan fully set up, but I've thought about this, and I'm going to share with you 7 different things you need to be doing. You need to be thinking about, pondering, coming up with a game plan based on your operations, based on your restaurant, based on where you're located and what's coming ahead. So if this is our first time, my name is Hangam, and this is Making Dough Show, where we talk about making dough in the restaurant business. My husband and I own a couple pizzerias here in the San Antonio area, and if this is your first time, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, on all the podcast platforms. We have a lot of free resources on our website that you can check out, a lot related to marketing, because we're all about making dough around here, because otherwise this is an incredibly stressful hobby, as you know. So I wanted to share with you what are some of the things that are going on in our mind as owners and management for our restaurants, looking ahead in the next few weeks, preparing our team, because as you know, and if your people are like that, people get into these routines and these habits, and now we've not had dine-in for weeks, I think 4 weeks now. So we've forgotten, because the service has changed. We do curbside and a lot of obviously phone and stuff, and we've not been doing dine-in for the last 4 weeks, and we've developed some habits that we need to kind of shift our people's mindset. So if you have maybe your front of the house manager, you would like them to watch this video, maybe they find it helpful, thinking about what's going to be the game plan to shift the team and prepare them for what's coming ahead. So when I'm always thinking about, okay, what are we going to do different? What's going to be happening? First thing I do is, before thinking about us and our operations, I think about our customers. What's going on in their mind? What are they thinking? And what are they feeling? Those are the 2 things. So what are they missing? I want to think about, about what do they genuinely want? What's their deep desire when want to come into a restaurant, right? They've been at home, they've been cooking, they've been doing dishes, and it happens, for our kids as well, right? I have to get up and get them drinks for our kids. You need to clean up. There's a lot of dishes. We've never washed as many dishes in our home as we've been, because kids are out of school, right? All of that will give you insight as to how the customer is feeling, especially the mom, in this season in their home. So how can you serve them? That is kind of ultimately what the mindset is. That we're going. What do they miss about going out to restaurants? Why do people go out to restaurants, right? And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. So I think I'm going to actually share with you. The first thing is, people want to feel served. They've been serving for 4 or 5 weeks. They've been in their home. They've been serving their family, the parents, right? Serving them food, serving them snack. Kids get hungry all the time. I don't know about you all as kids, but our kids, though they're little, but they still get hungry all the time. There are dishes or laundry, and again, everybody's at home. There's a lot more sweeping and mopping and work to be done. So they have been serving, and they come to our restaurants to be served. So how are we going to make them feel that they've been served when they leave our restaurant? And it doesn't matter if you are a full service, if you are a fast casual, which is where the model we're in, or if you are a fast food restaurant. How are you going to make them feel served is a question to ask your front of this house team, for them to have ideas as to how we're going to create that feeling proactively in our customers. So that's kind of what it is. We want them to feel welcome. We want them to feel satisfied, right? We want them to feel served. So when they leave the restaurant, they're like, oh, that felt good, right? That's what we want them to feel. So some of the practical ways of creating that is this, as I mentioned, for example, getting refills. We have got, before we open our restaurant, that's something people want, refills, and it's always been, and you already know that, nothing new. Even for us, for example, we have fast casual restaurants, and our servers pull tips. We need to be already starting sowing those seeds about, we do need to get refills. We don't have to get refills. That's why we're exceeding customer expectations. Getting refills for our customers, because that goes a long way. Pre-bussing, somebody coming in clearing the table, because the mom has been doing it forever, mom and dad, right, for the last few weeks. Somebody, for them to see as they're sitting, the dishes are dirty around here, someone else picks them up, and I don't need to pick them up, I don't need to wash them, right? For them to see that, instead of waiting for them to leave and for us to clean up. No, while they're sitting pre-bussing table, let me take care of that for you, let me get that out of your way. They're going to be, oh, that feels nice, right? So those are tips there. Other things we're going to be doing is Oh, the greeting and farewelling. When you come in, you want them to feel like queen and kings and princes and princesses. Very warm greeting and farewelling. We've not necessarily been doing much of that in the last few weeks because everybody's frantic, everybody's scared. You stay over there, and some of that are going to still be going on. But more than ever, it is important to make sure customers, when they come in and do dine with us in the very near future, they feel welcomed. And the greeting and farewelling, it just always need to be hammered to the team to make sure we're doing it. It's just a fact of life because customers care about it, so will we. Whatever matters to them matters to us as well. Other thing we're going to be doing for us is doing some samples of food because I want to exceed their expectation in terms of even if they did not order something, for them to sample different food. That always is people are like, oh, that, even I've done it at Starbucks, and they're always, I don't know if they're a stingy brand, but they're all kind of expensive. Whenever they bring, a piece of their little cake, it's this size or this much of their coffee, and it's because it's going bad or whatever. They pass it around like, oh, wow, free something? God forbid. Nobody gives nothing free. So we need to have a strategy for that as well, at least for our restaurants is what I'm sharing with you what we are looking into doing. Now, when it comes to the marketing part, we will know, hopefully, on date this, May 1st, May 5th, April 20th, whenever. You're going to know when is going to be the day that you can open your dining room. It's going to happen, right? So as soon as you know the date, it would be fantastic to come up with like a countdown, right? That the team and you are so excited to serve your customers in the dining room, right? So having a countdown, having an event, it's going to be building excitement for that day is going to be fantastic. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to be marking our calendar every year. We're going to celebrate that day that we could open our dine-in again to serve our customers. And for that day, for that week, we want to be able to get a boost in sales. We've been waiting for that. I'm sure you've been waiting for that. So it is good to come up with a deal, an offer that they cannot refuse. And so what is that going to be, right? We need to be already thinking about that. What's going to be a deal or an offer or something that we can do for that week to serve people and get them to come out and trust us for dine-in again. One of the things you need to know is most likely the way this is going to go down, again, I don't know exactly because we're not the mayor or the president, is that they're going to open dining room. They're going to tell you that you can open your dining room, for example, 50% capacity, and I think either it's going to go by tables. For example, in our case, we have 16 tables in our dining room. We can open 8 tables. So it's going to be one table yes, one table no, or something like that. Or, for example, your capacity in your dine-in is 100 people. You can do 50 people. So have you thought about how you're going to manage that? How are you going to make sure how many people are in the dining room? Because otherwise people are going to report you, from experience. Customers are going to report you if you have too many people in the dining room, whatever your capacity is. If the law is 50%, or they're going to come up in 2 weeks, it's going to be 75% capacity. What's going to be our strategy? I'm seeing in our Walmart, whenever you walk in, somebody's counting people coming in and going out. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about what's going to be the checklist that you need to have in your restaurant, that whenever somebody sits and leaves, we need to be sanitizing the chairs and the tables, or what's going to be the strategy there for people to trust us to come do that? Have you thought about that system? Another thing that my husband brought up the other day is that, hey, if we go from, they're like, hey, we're opening dine-in, and a lot of people want to come out and support us and or do dine-in and things like that. Have we thought about what if the wait times to sit down is long? You may have experienced that on Fridays, that your tables are full. It's been a while ago since you experienced that, I know. It seems like such a long time ago. But on Friday nights, maybe you would get really busy and people have to wait to sit down. So is that, if you're at a half capacity, if you only have 8 tables, for example, in your dining room, how are we going to make sure people are not waiting forever? Or what's going to be the system? We've never had a system for that, for example, for us. I'm looking at some like full service restaurants that have open table that is kind of communicates an average wait time, or they can reserve a table. Or should we just allow people to sit for maybe some families, like we've not been going out, we're going out and I'm sitting there for an hour and a half. I mean, we don't know, right? So should you have a system for that? These are things that you need to be thinking about. I'm just giving you ideas. I do not have all the solutions in the world, as you know, and these are thoughts that we are thinking about going through this, looking ahead a few weeks out. You need to know, as the management, as the top of your restaurant, you need to be looking weeks in advance, but I know that the world is so unpredictable right now that maybe hopefully we can just do 2 weeks out or before the dining room starts. So these were some of the things. The other thing I want to tell you, the two other things, tips for you. One is that people have not been drinking, going to restaurants or bars. So think about, and what they have been buying is beers or wines from Walmart, or if you have liquor stores and things like that, right? So when they come to your restaurant, they want to experience new things. So my husband and I were talking about it. Hey, what about our craft beer? Because people have not been getting some of our local craft beer because they're not buying it from Walmart, for example. You know what I'm saying? So have you thought about what's going to be our strategy to promote beer and wine, and maybe have new craft beer, so when people come in, hey, we got these new beer selection in celebration of our dine-in opening up, because people want to drink and they want to celebrate. It's been rough, let's help them out there. So for us, I was thinking maybe we should create sangria, maybe we should, you know what I mean, for our restaurant. So you need to be thinking about, based on where you're at, what are some of the things that you can do to delight your customers who would like to come to your restaurant and drink alcohol with their food. Okay, that's another thought. The other thing is, people have not been able to, as a mother myself of young children, people have not been able to have a conversation longer than 15 minutes with their spouse during a meal, because, you know, kids eat and there's all that going on. If you have young kids, you know what I mean. So, for example, one of the things that we are doing, we've been remodeling our restaurant during a little bit. My husband's been, by that, I mean, my husband's doing it. In other words, not like necessarily getting contractors out here, but he's been, we're making a little kids area. Know that families want their kids to go out there and play after the meal is done, for a husband and wife or a friend, I don't care who they are, to have a conversation in peace. So how can you help them with that? Have you thought about, again, that? So we need to enhance our dining experience even better, come up with ideas of what we've not done before, enhance the kids experience, enhance the drinking experience, and to summarize this whole thing, again, as I mentioned how we started this conversation, how are we going to make our customers feel served when they leave our restaurant? I also shared with you some operational logistics. So with that being said, these are all kinds of stuff that we need to be thinking about before this lockdown ends, the things that we need to be doing after this whole quarantine affair, hopefully coming for landing here soon. I would love to hear your ideas. What are you thinking about? What are you worried about? What are your concerns? How are you innovating? How are you coming up with new ways of serving your customers after this whole season to make sure that you have record sales, hopefully? And that is my wish for you. Thank you so much for watching in this episode. I would love to hear your ideas. Always be sure to comment below the video, or send me an email to team@makingdoughshow.com. I would love to hear your suggestions, as always. Now with that, let's get back to work and make some dough. Thank you. Bye-bye.